Hello everyone, my name is Akshay and welcome back to the GFG POTD streak of day 145. So without wasting any further time, let us proceed with the question because today the question is actually a good question and it is not actually related to like a standard DSA, but it's more of a competitive programming question. And I verified it has the same question has also been asked in Code Chef maybe 2020 challenge if I'm not wrong in November month, right? So if you're not able to do this question, then no problem here. I also spent maybe 1 hour, 15 minutes to just understand that how the question is to be approached and then coded, right? So again, this question will be not in the terms of not in the terms of solving it, but more in the terms of understanding, right? Yes, so let us resume the video. So the name of the question is Special Palindrome Substrings, a medium category question. So I hope you have read the question. The question says that there is a string S1 and string S2 given. So you need to do the operations in string 1 such that S1 should become a palindrome as well as the S2 should be the substring of that palindromic string S1. And the operations that you can do are only allowed that you can replace any word of S1 with any character, right? So for this case, A, B, B, A, B, B, we are saying that if we replace the third character with A, right? The third character A with B, then it would be A, B, B, A, and you can see that the B, B will be the considered as the subs S2 will be in the part of S1, right? And it will be an overall a palindromic substring, right? So what it is saying is that to convert your ABAA to convert into ABBA, so that this will be considered as the S2, right? And this will be considered as the S1 palindromic substring, right? Okay. So first of all, let us talk about the base cases that in what and all scenario the conversion wouldn't be possible, because in the note section they are given if it's not possible then return -1, right? So I am saying that let's say you have S1 length as, let's say, A, B, and C, and you have S2 as greater than the S1 length, let's say A, B, C, and D, right? So you have the power to just replace the characters. You do not have the power to add the characters, right? So if even if you made this string as a palindromic substring, but then again you will never be able to make sure that S2 will be a part a sub should be a substring of S1. You can never make sure, right? Because the adding of characters in S1 is not allowed. So the first base case, without even coding the solution, if I can say that if S1 is less than S2, then you just have to return -1, right? So let us code this thing first and then we'll proceed on. So in this video, I'm again saying it is not more on the solving side, it is more on the understanding side, right? So try to understand it, right? I know many of you will be not able to do this question because it is not a standard DSA, it's the competitive programming. And nowadays I can see in the pattern of GFG POTD, they are regularly giving some competitive programming question. I don't know why, right? So don't get demotivated. Let me code that base case and then we'll proceed ahead. Okay, so I have coded that base case here, right? Let us resume the video now. So the way to solve this question will be like you have this S1, right? As A, B, A, and A. So what you need to do is that you need to add this character S2, because the question says that S2 must be a substring of S1, right? So that means let us follow the question. Let us do what the question says, that you need to add S2 in S1, right? So the point is where you will add it now. You have to check in each and every position. Why? Why I have to check each and every position? Because maybe if adding S2 as the first position give you the cost as, let's say, 1, right? And the cost is nothing but the to make it palindromic, how many characters you need to replace. And let's say when you add the S2 string as the position 2, then the cost is something different, maybe 0. You don't need to exchange any characters, right? So that is the reason we need to add an each and every position. So let's say we add it. So if you add at the first position, it will be BB, and let me write it 3 more times the original string A B A A, and it will be A B A and A, right? Okay, if you add at the second index, let's say first index, if you consider the zero base indexing, so you'll be replacing this BA with BB, right? And let's say if you ask at the next index, that is second index, you will replace these characters with B and B, right? Since you have replaced the characters, right? So that means after doing this pre-processing, you need to consider the cost just to replace an S2 with S1. What I'm saying about is that initially you can say you see that A and B were there, but you replaced with BB, right? So you can say that B and B is equal here, but you can clearly say that this A has been converted to B. So just in placing S2 at the first position, the cost has now increased to 1. Similarly, you can see this B and B is equal, and this third character A is replaced with B. So the now cost have already begin with 1, right? Similarly, for this thing that this is A and B, so the cost has now already been 2, right? So that means first let us code this thing that we have such let's say an temp array which have all the characters here as BB, AA, and then this second one, and then this third one. And for each and every temp, we should have a cost associated with for this was this thing as one, this thing as one, and this thing as two, right? Let us code this part first, and then we'll proceed it. So how we can code it? So let me give you um, a good understanding that how we should code it, right? So what are we seeing is, what can I see is that I have converted my character to BBAA, and then I have converted to BABBA, and then I've converted to ABBB. The new characters are coming here, and coming here, right? And you can see that the index, the first this I has been changed, then the I shifted to this pointer, and then the I shifted to this pointer, right? So if I observe this string, that what I'm doing is I am taking s1 from where this index is what, 0. So that means I am taking s1 from where 0 to I, and then I am summing the number of characters in the second string, that is s2. And s2 has the length, let's say l2, which is 2b, that is l2 is equals to 2. So that means you have taken s1 from 0 to I, then you have taken two more characters, as you can say l2 number of characters, that is s2 here. Then what should you take next? Definitely you have taken I, you have taken l2, then you will take what? S1 of l2 till last, right? So if you want to take till last, then you just have to write l2, and it will by default consider, you have not mentioned the second parameter, it will consider till last, right? So this is the thing, this is the code which you need to run for each and every possibility, right? And then we will see that now for each and every possibility what we need to consider extra. Let us code this step, and then we will resume our video. So the exact thing I will show you, so let me pause my video here, because that does not require maybe the live coding, or okay, and yes, okay. And the first for loop should run from which point? So definitely you can see that you have changes from the first index, but you have stopped somewhere, right? So let's say definitely you start from 0, right? But what will be the range? You can clearly see that you are stopping at which point? You are stopping at the point where the number of characters of s2 is getting equal from the last. This is nothing but s2, right? This is nothing but s1. So definitely what will be from here to here, what should be the range? It would be s2 minus s1, and since it's a zero based indexing, that I will do minus 1 as well, right? So it's a zero based index, so I have to do plus 1, right? So plus 1, you can clearly see s1 minus s2 plus 1. Okay, so let us code that approach, and then we'll proceed ahead. Okay, so that's what I have mentioned here. We are running a for loop from I equals to L1 minus L2 plus 1. I have already explained you why this thing came. You can clearly see the I is traveling from the first pointer to this pointer, which is nothing but the length of S2. So the overall length will be S1 minus S2. Since the zero base, then I will do plus 1. Let us move ahead. What I need to store? We need to store the S1, right, from 0 to I, and then we need to store the s2 I need to store, and since s2 has the length l2, right, so I need to traverse l2 times ahead in my s1 string is nothing, eighth string. So a dot substring I plus l2, and since we are storing into an array, why we are storing into an array? Because if you have a string is immutable, right, in Java, so you cannot change any specific characters in that string, right? So that's why we are first first converting into a character array, and then we can definitely change it each and every index. But in C++ it's not the case. C++ you can directly change the index of the string, right? Okay, so the next step was to, when you have change, right, because replacing any word in the s1 character is giving you the cost, right? So that means you need to initialize a cost for each and every possibility you are considering, each and every possibility of the string. So there are three possibilities I explained you, and that's what we are comparing. That if the original string, right, if the let's say a string is converted to now something which is now temp, so wherever there is a character mismatch, and wherever there is a character mismatch indicated by line 52, so we are doing cost plus plus, right? So if you try to verify, let us verify that this particular code give us this string and number or not, right? So let me write that printing statements, and then we'll check, and then we'll proceed ahead, right? Okay, so I have included that particular code just to print, and you can, so that we together can verify that the same possibilities are forming or not. So the first possibility, you can see that it was BBA, ABBA, and ABBB, and the cost issued was 112. So just note it down in your copy, and now let us verify. So you can see the same string has formed BBA, ABBA, and ABBB, and the cost associated was 1, 1, and 2. So you can see 1, 1, and 2, and this minus 1 is there because I have written minus 1 in the line number 62. So let us comment these steps, right? I am not deleting it here, I am commenting it, and now let us proceed on, right? Okay, now the second thing began of checking that you need to check if it's a palindromic string or not. We have make sure now the possibility of string which is stored in temp is now having the S2 as substring. We have make sure of that. I already printed for you, right? Now we just have to make sure with the second point that it is palindromic string or not. And if it is, then print the minimum cost. And if it is not, just return minus one. How do we do that, right? So for that, I have made, let's make a boolean is palin is equals to 1. That is, I'm assuming that each and every string is palindrome, but is it? So let me open a new paint, or let's say I can write here as well, right? So let's say you have this string, you have the first string B, B, A, and A, right? And let's say you have this second string as A, B, and B, right? You can clearly see that there would be three cases now, right? The first case will be that your S2, right, is present in the first half, right? And the S2 is now present in the second half, right? And to check a palindrome, you may remember that how to check a palindrome, that let's say you have the string ABA, right? So we do not need to check the whole string. We just start from I equals to 0, and we just go to the mid. Mid is nothing but its length by 2, right? And then we can clearly see that if this point is I, then this point will be definitely n minus I minus 1, right? You can verify that. So that's what we are doing, right? That's what we'll be doing. So we will be running a for loop for each and every string now, right? For each and every string, and for each and every string, right? So that means we will have a for loop for, let's say, for int j equals to 0 to j less than, we have this thing, right? So we will use this function math.c, and I will do the L1 by 2, right? And I will do j plus plus. So this will be the for loop which will handle to traverse from I equals to 0 to just the mid length, right? And what you need to check is, in each and every time you need to check if temp of j is not equals to what? Temp of n minus I minus 1. So here it will be L1 minus j minus 1, right? But will that be this particular case, will it be work for every time? So let us observe it now more carefully, right? So the point here was that you have this S2 in your substring, right? You cannot change it, because if you change it, then the second condition that was having that to maintain S2 as a substring of S1, it will create a contradiction. So that means I know that I have to check palindrome in this substring, but I know that I cannot change this string even if it is unequal, right? So even if it is unequal, suppose this B and this A is unequal, right? So I cannot change this character, but I can change this character, right? So we have to make sure, now we have to make J, right? J is iterating for this temp string, right? Now I have to define a range of j where I will check, where I have to traverse for just those characters which can be replaced, right? That means I do not have to traverse for the characters which are part of S2, because I cannot change that. So let us define that range now. How should we define that range, right? So in this first character, when we form BBA, so definitely my I was at this pointer, right? Because you have placed your S2 in the first step. Let's say in the first space, right? So that's you get BBA. So definitely my eye was pointing at this variable, right? And this is what, this is BB is what, the length, that is length of the length of the second string. So definitely I can say that this range of S2, this range of S2 is, I can say that it is I to I plus L2. For each and every case I can say that. Let us verify that first. Okay, so I can definitely say, okay, so you can A B B A. So I was here, I can definitely say if I do I plus L2, then I'll be in this range, right? I'll be in this range, right? I plus L2, I will not take the, I will take the exclusive at the last, right? So I will definitely say that this is my I plus L2. Similarly, this is I, then I can say I plus L2 will be the range of my S2 character. So that's how we can dynamically define. Similarly, for this case where the S2 was present in the next half, the I pointer will be here, and then I can say I plus L2 will be the range of the S2 here, right? In my temp possibility. So the J should not okay. What can we say about the J now? So what can we say about J now? That since we are traversing for the first half itself, and S2 is also present in the first half, if the character mismatches, that is B and A, you can see that this will be and this way. If it mismatches, then I need to do cost plus plus, right? So my J need to be in this range, right? Clear? Clear how I say that this J should be in this range, because I'm iterating for this range, and if the character mismatches, right? So first condition will be this one, right? That either I should be like this, J should be follow this inequality, or J should follow this inequality greater than I plus L2, right? So J should be in this range, right? Or J should be in this range. I'm talking about these ranges, right? Right, because this is I, so J will be I will be greater than J, and J will be here, will be greater than I plus L2. So for these and only these ranges I can replace my characters, if the characters mismatches, right? So my first step will be this thing, if and let's say this condition is X and X, right? Then I will do cost plus plus, right? Let us talk about the second if, or should we code it? Then we'll proceed on. Let's code it first, this first if, and then we'll proceed ahead. Because where's my mouse? Yeah, okay. So let us, I'll pause the video here again and try to code it yourself, because just writing an if statement and then we'll proceed ahead. I've given you the for loop, I've given you the temp, the first if, just code it. Okay, so I have mentioned the first if part. I have explained you how that is going. If you have not understood, please go back to the video and try to apprehend it, then only resume the video, right? I am saying it once more. This question is not about the solving. If you are like uh, studying for just for the DSA, standard DSA problems, to cracking the interview of FANG and whatsoever, right? So this is the competitive coding problem. So let us apprehend it. Okay, so that's the first if. Now the second if would be that the S2 may be present in the second half, which is actually it was happening, right? For this case, the string which we form for A, B, B, you can clearly see that the BB, that the S2 is present in my second half. So what should be the range now? What should be the range now, right? So what should be the range now, right? So let us first define the range, and then we will comment about the inequality. What can I say about this range? If this is my ith range, right, then what can I say about this index here? I can say that this will be I plus L2. Clear? This is a very clear point. This will be I plus L2. I can say that. So what can I say about this range and this range? Can I comment anything on that? I can clearly say that this range will be, what is my length of this thing? This is L1, right? So I can clearly say this pointer will be nothing but L1 minus I, and since this is a zero based induction, I will do a minus 1 for this pointer, right? For this pointer. So my range is now L1 minus I minus 1, right? And now for this range, what can I say for this range, right? I know my total length is L1, right? Right, my total length is L1. There may be some characters here, but itself we need to maintain L1, right? So for the rest of the characters, I can say that it would be L1. Similarly, I did for I, for this I will use the same thing for I plus L2. I will say L1 minus I minus L2. Since it's a zero based indexing, I will do 1 minus 1 as well. So that should be my range for the left hand side and the right hand side. Now, this BB has already been present in the second half. And what I'm iterating for this for loop to checking the palindrome, I'm just saying that I will start from the uh, I equals to 0. I'll start from the 0th index and I'll just go till the midpoint, right? And what I'm ensuring that this BB is already beyond the mid, right? Beyond the second half. So that means if I write J here, then definitely if I first, let me write the comment. So this is for the second half, right? And this J pointer will not exceed second half at any point of time because that's the logic of checking the palindrome, right? So that means that second half index will definitely be greater than my J, right or not? Right. I hope you're able to apprehend it. Okay. And this pointer L minus I minus 1 is beyond the second half wala point, right? It is like before the second half wala point. And J is now iterating from the 0 to just the exact middle point. So that means it should be greater than this point, right? So, okay, so again, we do not have to change our S2 characters because it would then violate the second condition. So that is why we are defining the range where the S2 is not present. Okay, so now we have defined the range where the S2 is not present. We will again check that if the characters mismatches, right, then you have to do cost plus plus, right? So this will be our second if. So this will be our second if, and I will do or x, this x. This like this statement is called as x, right? Okay, so let us code this step, right? And we will proceed ahead with the third case. Okay, so I have coded the second if statement as well. And for this thing also, we need to do cost plus plus for each and every index where it is a mismatch. And for the index range, which is iterable, let's say. I hope you're clear with this two if statement. If not, please resume back the video, right? I can definitely guarantee you that you will able to understand it. Maybe you watch it again if right, because I've tried my best here to explain you. I cannot do beyond this best, right? The third if statement, right? So let's say you have the string A, B, C, A. Now this first possibility was that this S2 would be present in first half, right? First half in the sense we are iterating for the jth pointer for the palindrome checking 0 to till half because that's the logic of checking the palindrome. So that's what I'm saying, S2 can be present in first half. Similarly, I can say that S2 can be in the second half. But now there is one other possibility that while I was iterating till the half exact point to check the palindrome string, I found that the sub S2 is also is present in one part of S2 is present in the left half and one part of S2 is present in the second half. That is present in the both part, right? Let me give you an example. So let's say this was my L1 S1 string, right? And I've already placed this thing S2. So now S2, let's say it was BC, right? So at some point of time, this string would have been formed as temp, as we already discussed. So if I now start checking the palindrome, right? I will start from this character and I will go till this character, right? Because it will be 4 by 2 is equals to 2, right? So when I am this character, I will say that okay, this string and this string is okay. So no, so good. Go ahead, right? Then I will come to this point and I will check it with this point, right? But this is S2, right? You cannot change it. Even if it is unequal, you cannot change it. So that means this is unequal. This is unequal. So it is saying that palindrome to ही नहीं हो सकता यार. You could have make this palindrome that if you have converted this C to B, right? But you cannot do so because then the second constraint will be violated. So in that case, I will say that the palindrome is not even possible, right? So that will be one more else case, right? Which will say that the S2 is present in both the halves and we just have to pass this condition. This condition, I will say else if X, right? Then clearly say that the palindrome is not possible. Palindrome not possible. Okay, let's move ahead with the coding section again. That is why I have made this variable boolean is palindrome or not, right? Okay, I'm out of breath now. Let me code this step and then we will resume again. Okay, so I have written the last step, that is the else if part. That it is, I've already explained you, right? So I'll not repeat it again. So what's the last part remaining now? We have handled the case of forming uh, let's say temp array. Temp array is nothing but we are placing S2 in uh, in each and every place of S1, right? So that's what is handled by this for loop. This is first for loop, and then we are calculating the cost change just for placing this S2 into S1. That is handled by this for loop, right? Second step. Now the third step was to check if it is palindrome, right? And we cannot directly check if it is palindrome. We have to find the range where the characters will can be replaced, right? Because you cannot change the s2 characters in s1 if it is present, and it will be present, right? So that is it. Now for the particular string, we have the cost in our hand, right? In this iteration, right? And if it is and in the step 3 we have already checked that if it is able to make a palindrome or not. So now what we need to check is that if it is able to make a palindrome, right, then we need to find the minimum cost, right? So we'll just maintain one more variable, that is answer, and we'll say answer if is palindrome is equals to 1, then I'll say that answer is nothing but the math.min answer comma cost, right? Okay, so let me code that part as well. You also try it, make an answer variable in here, or let's say outside the for loop, and initialize it with the integer.max value. Why integer.max value? You can initialize it any large number of value, because at the outside of the for loop it will be help us to check that if answer is still pointing to that number, that means that the answer is not possible, and return -1, right? Let me code that step for you, and then we'll resume again. I am again repeating. If you are not able to solve this question, do not worry. Uh, this question is more about the understanding rather than solving in just one go. That thing will come in time, and it will definitely come, right? Let me code that step for you, and then we'll resume again. Okay, so I have added this code that after each and every possibility of forming the string under this for loop, right, which is starting from line 44, we have done all the three steps. Now, after doing all the three steps, I will check that if forming the palindrome is possible, then consider the minimum cost, right? And after the end of the for loop, we just have to check if the answer is still pointing to the maximum value, return -1, else return answer. So I have made one changes here. Not changes, added one line that it answer is equals to integer or max value. And earlier I have made this is spelling as boolean, so that's why I was not able to initialize that one, so I have made it into an int. So that is it, guys. That is it. I have explained you each and every test case, right? So what will the time complexity of this code? That we are running first for loop here, that is going till let's say L1 minus L2, right? So it will be O of what? The worst will be that L2 will be, let's say, 0, and L1 will be like n. So the worst will be the n here, and then we are these are all the parallel works, j less than I plus L2. These are all the parallel works. So the worst will be like we are going for the L1 by 2, right? So L1 by 2 is nothing but we can consider it as O of n. So it will be n cross n, right? Yes, it will be an n square solution. What is the constraint given there? So the constraint is 10 power 3. So n square of 10 power 3 square will be 10 power 6, which is less than 10 power 8, right? So you must understand this 10 power 8 logic. Day before yesterday, I saw one of you was asking about the 10 power 8. So I have made that video here. Please go ahead and see that thing as well. It's just a 7 to 8 minutes video. Let's get back to the question again. So it's already the clock is ticking. It's already been 28 minutes. So that's not an issue. So we need to understand this question. So let us finish this video now. So it would be less than 10 power 8, and let us compile and run, and then we'll hit the submit button. I hope I was able to deliver you the from the maybe from 0 to advanced, that what are all the things are happening here. So the expected output matches. Let us hit the submit button, and then we'll see for ourselves that what is happening here. Again, this is the competitive question, so do not be frustrated, demotivated. Just understand it. So I'm getting some wrong answers. So let me see what I have done wrong, and then maybe I'll get back to you. So yes, I rectified that error. I paused this video not to waste the more time. So what was the error? That there were three cases, right? So to mention the three cases, you have to use if, else if, and else if, right? So I was using if condition here. So what was happening, that even if the condition was true, maybe the second condition was true for the first case, it was going inside that case as well. We have to stop it there, right? So the else if will work, and definitely we have done this problem. Let me scroll it for you again so that you can see the code from top to bottom, right? So just do not just see the code and do the things, right? Understand it as well. So 29 minutes. So okay, the last thing, that to share the C++ code as well. So let me share that to you as well. Okay, so that's the Java code in the right hand side. I already explained to you line by line, and that's the C++ code. C++ user will be able to relate it more well. It is present in the left hand side. Let me scroll it for you so that you can get help as well. So that is it for today's video. Let us meet from the today's GFD streak of day 146, and I hope I was able to deliver this question content and solution to you at the best possible way. So that's it. Let's meet in tomorrow's video. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. Bye bye, and take care.